Welcome back to the channel. I am Joe. We got a little bit of change of scenery today. Thank goodness for that. I'm sure you were all very excited. We are with the 3rd gen 4Runner on the kind of the overflowing waters of the Mississippi River out here. I've been doing quite a bit of work to the 3rd gen. Let's get it, there we go. Because it is now essentially my daily driver, my work vehicle, my only secondary vehicle because I sold the Jeep. So yes, Jeep is gone. I am not upset or dismayed or missing that thing at all. Sorry, I'm just not. But I have been doing a lot of work to the 4Runner because, as I've mentioned before, I absolutely love this thing. That was not the intention for this thing, for me to get attached to it, for me to drive it very much, for me to keep it very long, but yet here it is, and hopefully it will be staying around for a while. Let's walk around and talk about what I've been doing. All right, yes, if you want to know the whole backstory about the 4Runner, I've got videos on that. Go check those out. 02 3rd gen 4Runner Sport Edition with the hood scoop. Yep, I'd never really cared about, I never really cared that much about the hood scoops until I had one, and yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. Anyway, also shout out to LasFit Auto for the awesome light bar in the front there, looking great as well. This thing was in terrible need of some maintenance, so much so that I haven't driven it all winter. It's been sitting. It needed brakes really bad. The front suspension was completely shot. The rear shocks were completely shot. The rear diff, the pumpkin cover, ended up turning into Swiss cheese and was leaking gear oil everywhere. So yes, it had to be parked until I had time and space to deal with it, and a lot of it has been dealt with. So, wow, where do we even begin? On the back, let's crawl underneath here real quick. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. I went ahead and got the Dorman replacement metal diff cover, and I cut the old one off and welded the new one on. Now, I did not make a video of that. There are videos out there, mainly because I really did it redneck way. I didn't pull the diff out. I didn't pull the axle shafts out. The diff cover itself it's a welded on piece onto the axle. And when it's new, it's about 3/16 of an inch thick. Mine was definitely nowhere near that thick. So what I did was I drained all the gear oil out of it. I took a cutoff wheel on an angle grinder and basically very carefully cut off the cover. Yes, just through the sides of it. I left the lip still, the welded part of the cover attached to the axle housing itself, because I planned on welding the new cover onto that. There's just more steel there. It gets everything a little bit further away from the gears and the guts inside there. So I had a little bit of play. Cut it off. That was fine, you know, took my time, smoked a little bit, yep. And then I cleaned everything off real good inside. This thing has got 260,000 miles on it, okay? And it's definitely been maintained a whole lot worse than what I've been maintaining it, so whatever. Cleaned everything up inside with brake fluid and rags, and then went ahead and cleaned up all my metal, put the plate on it, and I welded it like an inch at a time, inch and a half at a time. Like I alternated to try and spread the heat out. Took my time. I didn't want any warping. I didn't want any gear oil that may be left in there to heat up and start on fire. It's pretty oxygen deficient area in there. Of course, yes, it smoked, it crackled, and then afterwards, I pumped it full of gear oil. Drove it for a little while. You know, of course there's going to be some debris in there, and drained it. Actually looked pretty good. There's a little magnet on the drain plug. No problems. Refilled it, and it's not leaking anymore. It's perfect. So it's not the right way to do it, but that's how I did it, and it's been fine. moving on. At the rear suspension, I went ahead and replaced the factory springs with some Moog OEM replacements, and I put a new set of shocks in there. The shocks and struts I ordered, it's the same brand. Honestly, I don't even remember what they are. A buddy of mine put them on his daily driver 3rd gen, and they've been fine. It was under 200 bucks for the set. Got them off Rock Auto. Does it ride kind of like a tank? Not completely, but it doesn't ride like a Cadillac either. I also added some 1.5-inch spacers on the back. Just, these things ride so low to begin with. This is the stock size tire that this would have come with. Height wise, this is a 17. These are FJ wheels that are on it. Talk about that later. And so I've got the 1.5-inch spacer on the back, and on the front with those struts I added a 2-inch spacer, thinking, oh, you know, it'll level out. But I don't know if you guys can tell, I'm kind of in like Carolina bro truck mode right now. Those struts definitely lifted the front more than I anticipated, so I am currently on a hunt for what I'm going to do with the back, whether I'm going to replace them with some springs or a bigger spacer. Right now it's looking like I'm going to try to find a set of 5th gen 4Runner springs to put back there, and with or without the spacer, that should give me a little bit more carrying capacity. They should ride a little bit better, and get me kind of leveled out where I need to be. The front, I think, is looking really good. The tires are 265, 75, 17, so essentially a 31. And right now they've got some gnarly Duratrax on it that I picked up from a tire shop or a repair shop that I stop at every once in a while. A customer had left them there. I paid 50 bucks for the set. They're not balanced, they are cupped, but they actually go down the road surprisingly well. I've got new wheels coming, and then I'm going to get some new tires. And then we should be looking good. Maybe throw some wheel spacers on there just to bump them out a little bit. These fender flares are so huge. One of my pet peeves on the 3rd gens is the big limited style fender flares and the big pouty bottom lip front bumpers on them. But other than that, it's been running really good. I went ahead and replaced the front brake rotors and the brake pads, so I've got good brakes on the front. Now that I've got my front suspension all dialed in, thankfully all my cam alignment hardware was free, and it took an alignment very well, so it's been going down the road great. I can kind of tell everything else that is going bad with it, i.e. the wheel bearings. Now, these wheel bearings, of course, being 20 years old, are the pressed-in style, which is a pain in the butt. And I do have access to a press, but you need a bunch of spacers and stuff to like block everything up so that you can press them out. I could buy the parts and take them to a shop and have them do the pressing, but then I have to pull the knuckles out, and then I'm going to be without a vehicle for a little while. So what I ended up doing was a auto parts place that's about an hour from where I'm at. Called them up. They found a set of knuckles, complete knuckles. You know, they have the brakes, the spindles, bearings, and everything off of 3rd gen that had 80,000 miles on them. Can you believe that? So I've got those coming, and I figure, well, fingers crossed, the bearings will be good, and I can just swap the whole things over. Then I can take my time. I can get the knuckles off of this, stripped down, cleaned up, painted, and then I can probably sell the stripped knuckles for about what I'm gonna be paying for the other set, or I'll keep them and then have a set that I can rebuild separately if and when those bearings fail. So it is running and driving extremely well. I had some exhaust work done to it. I live in a state that doesn't require emissions testing, so I currently don't have a catalytic converter. Yep, I'll admit to that. And yes, I have check engine lights on because my O2 and my air fuel sensors are bad, but they've been bad. That's not anything because of the converter. I need to address that, but it runs fine. Still gets fairly good gas mileage. It's on my list of things to do. I just haven't done it. I got a new tailpipe and a stainless muffler midsection pipe from Rock Auto again, and then a muffler shop that I work with was kind enough to help me with the plumbing, putting it all together and doing some welding. Actually, one thing that I'm glad about getting those knuckles is this thing, I'm pretty sure, has had busted lower ball joints at some point. There's some like damage up inside the fender well, and I can tell that the lower ball joints look good. When I did the suspension, the upper ball joints felt really good, and I'm fairly certain that the cam alignment hardware has been replaced during that whole broken process. But it also ripped out the wiring for the ABS sensor for this wheel, and then when I was doing all the work, I broke the bolt off. So I need to get a new ABS sensor, and then thankfully, hopefully, the knuckle that I get won't have a broken bolt in it, and I can put all that together and I will have functioning ABS yet again. Well, there you have it. Like I said, done quite a bit of work. I've been driving it at least 5 days a week, back and forth to work and other places. I love it. But also, it makes me sad. But I'm going to do a video on that sometime. I've got some interior upgrades coming. I'm just trying to get this thing back kind of to its former glory. It's definitely been neglected by its previous owners. I'm just trying to take care of it. Spending money where it needs to be spent to get it back up. You know, it's a 3rd gen 4Runner. It's probably not ever gonna lose a whole lot of value. So that is the plan. Like I said, I've got some interior mods coming, more like replacement upgrades, not really mods. The inside is finally clean from all the smoke, cigarette smoke and tar that was in it. Lots of pressure washing and super clean, and brushes and stuff. Finally got it clean. The whole family actually rode in a couple weeks ago, and my wife said it just smelled like an old car. So I can definitely live with that. So we're gonna have more videos on this coming up, a lot more videos, if I'm honest. If you're here for GX content, I will try to keep that coming as well. I do have some information, just keeping up with maintenance and how it's been doing, and how I'm living with it type videos. Other than that, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, turn those notifications on, give the video a thumbs up. Usually we drop a video every Sunday, and I've got some random content coming up that I will probably drop on Wednesdays, like last week's coffee roasting video. So follow the links in the description down below over to my Instagram and my Facebook. And yeah, comments, questions down below. Feel free to email me, hawkeyeskunkworks@gmail.com. Till the next video drops, thank you for watching. Take care. Goodbye.